Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing okay. It's been, how many weeks now? 4 or 5 weeks since we've all been in lockdown and in isolation. Getting used to it, getting into the groove. I thought I'd take the opportunity to share with you guys about a song that's pretty close to my heart. One of our songs called Road and Travel. And it's a pretty powerful song, and it kind of started when I was very lucky enough to travel to Turkey, and we drove to Gallipoli, and I was walking amongst the small memorial stones, I guess you'd call it, with engraving on it, each one, and they all had like verses from like the King James Bible and lots of thy's and kingdom cometh and all this stuff, and they were all beautiful, and it was a very moving and serene scene. We were actually walking through trenches that had been hand dug, in desperation to get out of gunfire. Crazy stuff, and the stories that we heard were pretty eye-opening. But and as I walked through, it was near the water, and seeing all these little engraved stones. I saw one that just simply said, "Well done, Ted," and oh man, like I just wept. Like I'd held it together until that point in time, but and it just said, "Well done, Ted, aged 16." And here I was. I think I was like 19 years old or something like that, and just going, I'm already older by 3 years than this kid. And to think that, like, at the moment I've got a 12-year-old, to think in 4 years he'll be 16. He's, it's just crazy. That kind of level of stupidity around loss of human life, I still can't quite come to terms with it. But it has birthed a number of songs, Four Seasons being one of them as well. So yeah, Road and Travel was kind of birthed from that particular moment. I think it was one of the latest songs written for Aurora. I think what happened is we were leading up to the recording, and the record label were like, "We're not sure that you've got as strong an album as you could," and I think they actually, I might be making this up, but I think they actually identified like 3 songs. They were like, I mean, they're okay. You can put them on the album if you want, but with a bit of work, I reckon you could easily outwrite them. So I remember in the space of a week, I wrote "Tried My Wings," "Road and Travel," and one other. Oh, it evades me right now. It'll come. Even Sacrifice, right? And so I wrote those 3 songs in a week. I said, well, I've got these 3 songs. Let's bang them out, and all 3 made it on the album, and which was actually looking like it was going to be reverted to an EP. So thankfully, I wrote those songs, and we were able to get them done in the studio pretty quickly. And as far as the writing of it goes, like that. I'll grab this plectrum instead because it's pointy plectrum. In the verse where it's got the kind of really jagged, like 7/8, it's like. The whole idea behind that was that the way I see it, that all parts of the song need to tie into what the song's saying. So this song is basically saying this kid's life is cut short. In the actual song, I kind of pitched it around a character that had maybe made it to their mid-20s or something and had been married. And part of the song's actually written from the perspective of his wife back at home. His life was cut short. So it's kind of like this 7/8 section is cut short. And I always imagined that I'd play that bit, would get into that riff, and then so it was easy to sing along with, I'd just get back to like, a like a And then I'd sing a verse around this, something like that, you know, just so it was like straight. But I challenged myself. I went, okay, brain, I'm going to make you play a rhythm, and your melody is going to work completely around that in another way. So it came on with, you know. Orders the response, soldiers in lines they hold. Prayers for them safe, they fall to the beaches cold. Then it gets into the chorus, and it's just from his perspective, like, oh yeah, did I? Memories of tonight. 'Cause this house, this is from like her perspective, 'cause this house is a home when you're running through her mind. Oh. Then it goes into the second verse. Visit from corporal, a message is born for all, which is basically a visit from someone from the army, a corporal, saying your son is either killed or missing in action. Message is born for all, shocking to know, future not what she foretold. You know, just imagining him coming back from war and them having a family and kind of, you know, doing that gig. And that's just gone. And I can't imagine what it must have been like to have your husband away for that long, at war, right? At war. Not like away for work or a business trip, or going to war for like possibly years, and then coming, like, and with, you know, a letter a month maybe. We just don't have any comprehension in this day and age of messaging someone on the other side of the world and getting an instant reply. We just don't have any comprehension about what it must have been like waking each day and just going, is he alive? You know, I don't know, you know, incredible. Then it gets to the into the bridge. She's up and flying, wind in hair, forever in your right hand. So this is kind of like it does change perspective again here. So the way I see it, songwriting is kind of like taking a narrative piece and looking at it sideways, right? So you might be telling a narrative story, but you get to the chorus and the clincher moment or the main message of the song is the chorus, but on a narrative level in the verses you haven't quite got to that point yet. But you've got to realise that sometimes you've just got to get to a chorus and sing it, even though on a narrative you're not quite ready for it, because it just works with the arrangement of the song. But people get it. People get it by the end of the song. You know, if they... even movies these days can be quite, you know, you're watching a scene and you're like, oh, hang on, this scene's like took place 2 years before the next scene, and then you're kind of piecing it together. But when you finish the movie, it's made a story. Do you know what I mean? So she's up and flying, wind in hair. She's up and flying, wind in hair. What I imagined is, it's getting a bit graphic I guess, but the moment he was shot and died, the next thing he knew he was hand in hand with his wife, and they were soaring through the clouds or running in a massive field or something like that. So, you know, she might have lived another 60 or 70 years or something like that. But for him, it was like the next instant he was with her. Forever in your right cooler bits of the song because Sean's doing all the vocals and I just get to, get into the chord play a little bit there. Another thing I was going to say was that I think that time signature stuff that we've done for years is kind of a combination of listening to like Helmet, Tool, all these bands that really kind of screwed with your typical time signatures, and a band like Biffy Clyro is now doing awesome stuff with time signatures, catching you by surprise all the time. So I hope that's been an interesting insight into the song. I have been told that people want a playthrough, so even though I've just played sections of it, I'll have a crack at playing the whole song right now. Peace. And for all those people that have served in the military, I, for one, who haven't, I would like to say thank you. And we did actually play at ADFA one time, and I said the same thing at the Australian Defence Force Academy in Canberra. And so I thank you for my freedom. And as I often chat with my 93-year-old neighbour next door, whose name's Ron, who often tells me stories from his time in the Second World War, I'm just amazed that he was prepared to go to a foreign country, a foreign culture, into a confusing situation and follow orders and believe it was part of a bigger thing. And people still do that to this day. Call is out to join the fight. Family line, his fellow. Forget me not, 'cause memories of tonight. 'Cause this house is a home when you're running through her mind. Safe they fall to the beach as cold. So forget me not, 'cause memories of tonight. 'Cause this house is a home when you're running through her mind. Oh, visit from Corporal, a message is born for all. Jolting denial of future, not but chief first.